Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
Austin, man, we're sitting in 2024. You're signed to the UFC. Life is not that bad, right?
No, it's getting better. Yeah.
Let's jump back to 2023, man. You went through a lot in that year, right? You went through the show, and then you fought on pay-per-view. Just take us through, what that year meant for you and your career.
That was a good coming off of taking it back a step, coming off of 2022, that was literally like the worst year of my life. Like furthest thing I've ever had, like the hardest year I've ever had. And like getting that opportunity to, go on the Ultimate Fighter and then making it to the finals and 2023, that really helped me mentally and spiritually and all other things, got me back on track, so to speak. So it was a very awesome thing for me, and I super happy I got the opportunity to be on the Ultimate Fighter, and glad I made it to the finals. And yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say 2022 was one of the worst years, and you were undefeated that year.
Yeah, life, man. Life was kicking my butt though.
But it didn't
That
affect your
was
performances. You know what I mean? That says something.
Yeah, I had to dig deep, it was tough.
For sure, for sure. And like you said, you got the opportunity for the Ultimate Fighter. That whole experience, what will you remember most about being part of that show?
Um, you know, the experience itself was incredibly boring. Being locked in the house and away from the world for, 6 weeks or wherever it was. So what I'll remember most from that is, the people I went through that experience with. I was very fortunate. I feel like everyone on the show was pretty cool. I feel like we all meshed pretty well. And I feel like I made some genuine friendships out of that show. And every time one of those guys are fighting, I'm tuning in and, wishing all of them the best in their careers going forward as well. So, um, pulling away from the show, the people I met and went through that experience with is by far like the most important thing to me about it.
Yeah, it seems like that's a common theme coming out of this Ultimate Fighter is the relationships the fighters built with each other. Do you think it's because you guys are veterans?
Um, yeah, kind of. That's like such a crazy experience. I feel like a lot of people don't like fully understand that experience until you actually go through it. Like, you're completely cut off from the world. No cell phone, no TV, can't listen to music, can't read books. Like, you have nothing to do but to be in this house with these people, and you start to bond because it's the only thing you can do is talk to them and get life stories. And then as far as like the people on our team, we train together. Like the only thing we get to do outside of being in the house is go to train together. So, you in sports, you when you train together and you guys struggle together and grow together and all those sorts of things, like it just naturally brings you closer. And so I feel like our team really got close. Especially the lightweight veterans because we all roomed together and trained together and all those sorts of things. So yeah, it definitely just brought us a lot closer and made it for a cool experience.
Definitely. And Tough 31, the finale, the result not in your favor. How were you feeling after that fight about the performance and about everything that you went through for that camp?
um, I was happy with how I showed up. I was happy. I feel like I fought a great first round. Kurt's a tough dude though. He's a gamer for sure. He shows up. Um, he executed beautifully on that transition. Um, I got a little tall and like slipped back and then ended up on the ground and was fighting out of position and then right into the ending sequence of his, and he executed that beautifully. And the second I rolled out of that armbar, that triangle was locked up tight. I was like trying to posture up. I'm like, shit, I can't even posture up. This is for trouble here. So, it's the fight game, man. It's crazy. You never know which way it's gonna go and when it's gonna go that way. So all you can do is just learn from it, grow from it, and come back better.
Definitely. And take us through getting the contract to rejoin the UFC in 2024.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's awesome because so my fight's the 27th, and my baby's due the 4 or 5 weeks later. So it's like perfect timing. Get this fight, get that double check, hopefully triple check, hopefully, and then go home and be back with my family. I'm out in Colorado currently. I moved back to Illinois and I live in Dixon, Illinois. I've been there for about a year now, but I still come out here and do my training camps. So I'm excited to get home. I'm excited for this fight. I'm very excited for the fight itself, but I'm also excited for it to wrap up and then kind of get ready for my baby coming.
Yeah, congrats on that. You know what I mean? It changes life, right?
Yeah, definitely. She's not even here yet, and she's definitely changed my life a lot already. So
Yeah. It's a trip, man, to have a focus on someone that's not even here yet.
yeah,
It's weird. Like
yeah,
if you're a father, you go through that.
yeah.
Great, man. 8 months between fights, man. It's a pretty long stretch. How did you spend your time before heading into the training camp for this upcoming fight?
So I when I'm back home, I work a lot. I work for Supreme Cleaners, which the owner is my father-in-law, and my wife and I both work for the company. So, I just working, staying busy, making money when I'm not fighting. So, and then just training when I can. And once I finally get a call and a contract, and then I kind of plan my training camp out, and then take off of work and train full time and get ready for my fights. And so far it seems like it's the system's working well enough. So yeah, just working when I'm not training,
Yeah, you
which isn't
mentioned
fun, but
yeah.
making money.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Until you get into the position that you feel comfortable in. Illinois, Denver. The whole like elevation thing. Did you experience that again? Like going back and forth?
I was here for 7 years before I moved back home. So I think my body's just kind of adapted to it. Obviously, yeah, it is a factor, but it I don't think it's as bad as that, first time that I came here, like that first time I've ever been here training and stuff. I vividly remember that, and like um, luckily, it's not to that extent, but like I said, I think my body's like somewhat adapted to it now since I lived here for 7 years before moving. But yeah, it feels good to be back in elevation.
Yeah, yeah. It's a big benefit, man. It's an advantage, and
Yeah.
you're going to Las Vegas to fight. You're taking on Michal Figlak. What do you think of him and the skill set?
Um, he's younger. He doesn't have, quite the experience that I feel like I'm used to, seeing as far as his MMA record. He's 8-1. I think he's 27. So, he's kind of on the younger side. But he's talented. I watched, one or two of his fights. I like his style. He comes forward and he's swinging and he's constantly coming forward, and I feel like that's kind of what I do as well. So I think it's going to make for a very exciting fight.
He's kind of like one of those. It's not even unique anymore. You got a lot of guys coming into the UFC undefeated on these win streaks, and then they debut and lose. How what impact could that have on a fighter?
It can go one of two ways, really. You come in and you are undefeated and you lose. That could break your confidence. Getting to the top and then you fall short and maybe it messes with you mentally. I'm going with the route that he doesn't want to lose again, so he gets more motivated, he's working harder and things along those lines. So I gotta be in there, come in there prepared for the best version of him, and assuming he does not want to go 0-2. unfortunately for him, I think he's gonna. So that's the way it goes. But I don't know. It's the fight game though. It's you never know what's gonna happen, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Max Roshkov fight. You know what I mean? You never expected that to happen in a fight, and you're a part of it. So crazy stuff happens.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
with training camp, man, it seems like a lot of guys on the team are getting ready for fights, man. Big fights as well. You know, you got Justin Chepe, I believe, also in camp. Is that a lot of the guys that you're working with?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually came out here a little earlier than I initially was gonna, specifically to train with Justin, and help him get ready, which obviously helps me get ready. He's a high level opponent or person, his skill set and everything else, and just all the experience and wealth of knowledge he brings in the game. So I couldn't pass on that opportunity to work with him as much as I could. And I was getting a lot of work in with him, and Archie and Chepe and Corey, and I'm back out here, Neil and stuff, and them too. So I'm getting a lot of good work in.
Are you still roommates with Curtis and Neil? Is that still going on?
Oh, I'm actually staying at Neil's house while I'm out here in
Okay,
Colorado. So yeah,
okay. It's
yeah,
good to have fun.
yeah, definitely. It makes coming out here easier and cheaper. 'Cause I don't have to pay to stay in.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. That's great, man.
Yeah.
Like mentally, like what's different? You know what I mean? I know you've been working on your skill set physically, but mentally, maybe physically as well, skill set wise, like what's different about you compared to your last run in the UFC?
I feel like I'm just so much more focused. So much things in my life has changed, and it changed my or perspective on a lot of things, and I just have a greater understanding of what's important to me and what I could do with fighting and what it could bring for me and my family and things like that. So, just as we grow up, we mature, right? So, like, I came in at 27, young, and not the experience I have now. Obviously, I'm 32 now, baby on the way, a daughter and wife at home already, and I got a family to ride for. I just have a whole new meaning of what is important to me, and I think that brings me a lot of motivation and focus into what I need to do to be successful in fighting. So
Do you feel like there's a more of a do or die in you compared to before?
oh yeah, absolutely. I know this is my last run, my last chance to do well and compete in here. I'm getting older, uh fighters, really all athletes only get a short window. I'm in that window of where I'm starting to hit my physical prime. They say, and your early 30s, but I know that that's gonna wear off, and things start going downhill. So I gotta capitalize on where I'm at right now and make the best of my opportunity, um, and prove to not just myself but all the UFC fans that I something that's really important to me this time around is putting a streak together. My first time around, won one, lose one, win one, lose one, and I really determined to prove, like I said, to myself as well as the fans that I belong here. I can put a streak together. I know what I'm capable of, and just it's a matter of going out there, executing, and doing it.
Definitely. And what do you envision for this fight? What type of fight are you expecting?
You know, I'm. You always expect the worst, hope for the best, right? So, um, I'm expecting a war. I'm expecting him to come out swinging, and he's not gonna want to go 0-2. I'm expecting just a dogfight, really. That's what I'm preparing for. That's what I'm preparing to bring. Um, and it's what I'm expecting. So if it happens that I can get a quick finish, then even better. So we'll see.
Definitely. I wanted to jump back to a moment in your career that I don't think anybody has experienced that in the UFC was when you had compartment syndrome and you had to go through all of that, man. You've been through some heavy times in your career, man. And when you look back at that, right? Could you explain like how it is going through, especially right after a fight?
Well, it hurt.
Yeah.
um, so I was in Canada at the time, and they have I don't know if it was just the hospital that I happened to go to or what, but it was not a fun experience, man. I got stuck in a room with four other people and no TV, no nothing, and like I don't know, it was not a fun experience. The nurses were like not very helpful. Uh, I had the suction machine up to my leg, sucking all the blood and inflammation out. And like I told the people, like, you got to empty this. It's gonna stop. Like even if it stops, then the band-aid is gonna my whole leg thigh was open. So if that thing stopped sucking the blood out, it's gonna obviously pool up and explode, and
Mhm.
that's exactly what happened. They for whatever reason didn't listen to like me, and at the time it was my girlfriend, but she's my wife now. Like, you got to change this. You got to change this. Empty it. And they wouldn't, and they wouldn't listen to us. And my it stopped. The machine stopped sucking. My bandage like filled with blood and then exploded. And then because I was losing blood so rapidly, I passed out, and they had like rushed me into emergency surgery and like all these other things. So it's like it wasn't just as easy as the compartment and cutting it open and stuff like that. There was some complications in there that was wrapped into that whole experience that was not fun. And then like I was there for a week. I had 3 surgeries. Right before I went home, they closed my leg back up. So that Friday or whatever it was, they closed my leg, sewed it up, and then like that next day I had to fly out, and I was going back home, and as you can imagine, like the swelling from being sewed up for the first time after a week of it being open and getting sucked out, like it was very painful. And then I couldn't hardly bend my leg, but I had to bend my leg once I got to the airplane to fly home and stuff. It was just all around like not fun.
Man, if you could get through that, you could get through anything, right? That shows you that you got like survival, grit, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Hey, believe it or not, that's not even the worst thing I've ever been through. That actually wasn't nearly as bad as when so I have like 8 titanium clamps in my throat.
Whoa.
And that was the worst thing I've ever gone through. Like I had a bunch of surgeries and things like that on my throat. And that was by far the worst. I lost over half the blood in my body, and I couldn't eat for like 2 months just because my throat was all messed up and stuff. And that sucked more than anything. So that
Wow.
made the leg thing easier because that happened right after my pro debut. I had to have my tonsils removed, and then they end
Mhm.
up like nicking artery, and then like it was a shit show for a while.
Wow. Incredible, man. Incredible, man. Like I said, if you could get through that, those types of situations, man, you get through anything.